Alright, welcome everybody. I am going to do a tutorial on Click Team Fusion 2.5, creating a Pocket Tanks game. So, this is my actual game so far, actually. If I go to File Recent, you'll be able to see how far I've gotten with this Tanks game. And if I press F7, I will be able to play. You gotta click in it then, the Tanks game. And this is as far as I've gotten. Currently on my tanks build, just following the instructions, and I'm going to create the video today on how to import the background objects, how to make transparency, and then how to get the tank to shoot. We're not going to do gravity yet, but we will do that in the future. So I will actually click new. We're going to end, click OK. I'm going to end this one. If you do not end it, you actually have no ability to work on it. So we're going to go ahead and double click on frame. We double click there. So guys, I have instructions that I have made, as you see here, right? This is a canvas file for my guys. It has a step-by-step instructions with pictures. So my goal is to download this, insert it as a PDF, and then give you guys all the options to download these files yourself. So like I'll include a click here, and that will bring you to the files that I use. You'll be able to, you'll be able to download them and use them for yourself. So that way, anything that I have, you will have as well. So what we are going to do to start this off is pull up the instructions. I'm going to pull them up over here. After you've downloaded the files, right, the first thing you're going to want to do is create the background. So what we want to do, we want to double click frame 1 always, right, on the left, and then simply right click inside of this frame editor here. And then insert object, and then it will pull up this right here. You're going to want to insert backdrop. Double click it. Now nothing happens. That's okay. You want to click inside it. That's what we're doing. We're inserting a backdrop. We're going to double click it. When we double click it, this will pop up. So now what we're going to want to do is click on the open, the import button. And then you're going to want to locate that file. So this is the artillery game from scratch assets, right? It's inside of the graphics folder. This is that downloadable folder that you're going to do step 1. And then you're going to find the terrain. You're going to click OK. Now look, it has a black background in it, and that's not really what we want. We don't want it to be black. We want there to be a transparency. So we're going to click that pick right there, and we're going to click on it. If I clicked here, it would change the color. We don't want that. We want the background. So I'm clicking, making sure that that is transparent. I'm going to click OK. And now we have a transparency. Click OK. And we are going to import it in there. So something that you guys can do, by the way, if you do view, you can click show grid and snap to grid. So like these two here, I have these little things right here clicked on, and that helps me to center. That helps me to, you know, make things align, you know, the right way, so on and so to speak. So make sure that you do click those, and it'll help you do it. Like let's say we don't choose snap to grid. It's going to be harder to align that perfectly, right? It'll be more of like a free form, whereas if I snap to grid, it'll snap it for me. So that's how you can kind of like freely lay stuff out. All right, so now we have done the terrain. The next thing we are going to want to do is set it to an obstacle. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click backdrop. Now if you don't have properties down here, sometimes what you have to do is you have to click view toolbars, and you have to make sure that your properties, and like these are what's selected for me. My library toolbar is at the bottom, but we're not going to really need that. So make sure these are selected and that your properties does show up. Sometimes it shows up right here. I've seen it where like you'll click properties and then nothing happens, but then right here it'll look like this, right? Like nothing will show up, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, there actually is something there, and I got to open it up. So sometimes that does happen, right? So we're going to click on that. We're going to want to click on the play button and go to collision obstacle type. Well, we want to make sure this is an obstacle. Okay, so we're in backdrop, right? And we've given it an obstacle type, and that's it. That's all you got to do for the background. So next up, we have to import the tank, the bullet, the turret, the crosshair, and we're going to do these as active objects. So first thing we're going to do is import the tank. So right click, insert object, active, OK, click. double click it. It's an active object. We're going to open up our P1 body, and that's a bell. Don't worry about that bell. And this is what pops up. We're going to pick on that background color, click OK. Now this is important here. All right, we're going to want to give this thing a hotspot. All right, and that hotspot is going to be 15, 15. That's kind of like an important spot on the tank. That's like right there on that tank if we were to zoom in. Right, that's that little spot there. We're going to give it a hotspot. We're going to sit it right there on it. And this is something where like you could freely place it here if you wanted to. And then unclick it. That is okay. And that's it basically. But here's the deal. We have to make sure that we name this appropriately. So this active object we want to rename as P1 body. Just like what you see there. Because what we're going to do is reference it later with equations. If you don't name it appropriately, it will not work. Now, wait a second. Is this hotspot of the turret is 3? The hotspot of the tank, I apologize. We're going to double click that tank again. It's not 1515, I'm sorry. The tank is 1614. I apologize for that. Now, all I did was double click and it popped up and I went back to it. Cool. Now I'm going to import. Right click, insert object, active, OK, click, left click, double left click, open, turret. You're going to do this a lot, so you're going to get really good at this. We're going to open up that P1 turret. Look how it's named, P1 turret. All right, it's already been selected. We don't have to do the transparency anymore. The hotspot on this bad boy will be 3 on this one. Now it's creating a little hotspot right there in the little center of that bad boy. Right there at this little hotspot. It's giving it a point of significance. I'm going to drag it up here, you know, get it out of the way. Make sure I right click it, rename it as P, capital P, 1, capital T, U-R-R-E-T, P1 turret. Now we've got our turret and our tank in there. We've set their hotspots and we are good to go. Now, next up, we're going to want to import the bullet and the crosshair. We're going to do the other tank later, but for now we're going to do the bullet and the crosshair, and we're going to do it again. Right click, insert object, active, OK. Left click, double left click. Let's find the crosshair. Everything's good to go. It has a transparent color. It looks good. This one will have a hotspot of 1515. That's already dead center. Okay, good to go. The bullet doesn't really have a hotspot, right? So once again, don't forget to name it. Rename C-R-O-S-S-H-A-I-R, capital C, capital H for crosshair. We're going to do it all over again. Import another active object. Right click, insert object. Left click, OK. Left click, double left click. Open, bullet, booyah. It's already good to go. It's already good to go. We have a bullet, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do a little free form here. We're just going to move it over there so that way we see it. We're going to move that over here so we see it. We're going to snap it back to grid. And we are good to go. Now, there's something with the bullet that we have to do. What is it? Rename it. Capital B-U-L-L-E-T. Make sure that you guys are spelling things properly. If you don't spell it properly, it won't work. Now, there's something else we need to do with the bullet, which is create at start. There's a little option down here, right? This is in the property section of the bullet. So if I go to crosshair, create at start bullet, no, we want to unclick the create at start for the bullet. And that's in its general properties under the play one. So that's under play. Okay, you got to take right here under this play feature, the runtime options. We want to uncheck create at start. That's kind of important. Now, we want to make sure that the tank turret is behind the body in order to in draw order, right? We want this to be behind the body. So what we're going to do next is we're going to right click. We're going to go to order. We're going to send it to the back. That way, when the tank turret shot pops up, this stays behind that. yeah, so we're almost done, guys, with setting up just the basic stuff. Well, we want to change the background color, right? So we're going to click frame 1. After that, we're going to go to the check mark here and background color right here. We're going to want to click on that. We're going to want to click other. Then we're going to want to click custom. This is important for later, right? So just do the numbers. 115 for red, 176 for green, and 217 for blue. And it's going to give us that nice color right there. Now we have our beautiful sky. This is important because we have objects that we're going to import later that have that exact same color. We are going to want them to blend in eventually. And this is where we should be. If we click F7, nothing happens, nothing clicks, but everything kind of is in there and it works. We're good to go. We got to get the bullets to shoot now. We're going to make our first tank shoot a bullet in a straight line. We will add gravity later, as well as an explosion when it collides to the ground. But for now, we're going to create 2 variables for the tank, okay? Called distance to mouse and angle to mouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our tank here, right? Or you can click on it up here. Either one is okay. Now, do you see like this little A to Z value right here? We're going to click on this bad boy for the P1 body. We're going to add 2 variables, okay? Variable 1 is going to be called distance to mouse, and you'll see this in the instructions. Distance to mouse, just like what you see there. Capital D, capital T, capital M. Okay. Remember, we're in the A to Z for P1 body, and we just clicked new. We're going to do that one as well. We're going to call this angle to mouse. Angle to mouse. So we're just naming them as we need it, right? So as you probably can be aware, that from the tank to the distance to the mouse is going to give us something, and then the angle to the mouse, which will be 0 degrees here, 90 degrees, 180, 270, and then rotate back around is 360. There's a little bit of trigonometry here. All right, but we're good. We're good. Now we're going to create 5 variables for the bullet. So we're going to click on the bullet. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the first one that we're going to make is TEMPX, temporary X. We're going to do the same thing here, TEMPY. Next up is going to be X speed. So we're giving it X, Y locations. We're giving it X, Y speeds, because the thing moves horizontally and it moves vertically, and gravity only exists in the Y. Gravity does not exist in the X direction. Gravity only goes up and down. That's why when I set something on a table, like a glass of water, it doesn't move right or left, because gravity does not act right or left. It acts up and down. So we have to separate our X's and Y's from each other. And we're going to add our gravity to our Y. We're going to call this one initial speed. So for all you physicists out there, you're like, wait a second, this is projectile physics. And yes, it is. If you don't know physics, just go with it. You're like, all right, I'm making it. Doesn't matter what's going on. This is where things start to get a little bit extra, because we're going to have to add events now in the event editor. We've got everything set up. We've got our variables. We have our objects. Now we're going to have to go here. This is where everything starts to go crazy. All right. So what we're going to want to do is add a new condition. And right here, you'll see the special. You want to click that, and then there's something called always. All right, now that we've got that set, what we're going to want to do is set the distance, set a variable to each other. All right, so click on the tank. Okay, you're going to click here. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to right click. You're going to go to alternate variables. Click set. See where it says distance to mouse? That's good. That's what we want. Now I have an equation in here and it's going to look kind of crazy. What I would suggest is you copy that equation from the step. We are in step 3 right now. Right? We're currently in step 3. And the equation will be, well, I'm leaving it up on the screen for you guys. That's just a crosshair, by the way. Don't worry about that, right? That's just where my mouse is. But that is what the equation looks like. You can pause it on the screen if you want, but you'll see that we reference P1 body in here. We reference the x position of the mouse minus the x position of the body minus the y position. So this gives us the distance. This is basically Pythagorean theorem here. All right, I'm going to click OK. And the next thing we're going to do is set the angle of the mouse doing the same thing, right? So we're going to click here again, right click, alternate variable, set. Instead of distance to mouse, we're going to do angle to mouse. And then I'm going to use that exact same equation. Click OK. So you should have, under that, 2 different events for that body. Next up, we're going to select on the P1 turret, which is this one here, and we're going to set its position next. So if you follow me, here's our turret. We are going to right-click, position, select position. And then this will pop up. We're going to do relative to that tank at the 0, 0. Remember, where does 0, 0 come from? That's its hotspot. That's where the hotspot came in. And we're going to click OK. So now we have set position at 0, 0 from the actual tank. But we are not done. We have to set the angle of the tank as well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to right-click, scale angle, set angle. And that is going to pop up. And then we are going to want to change it to this right here, angle to mouse of the P1 body. Right, that's what we defined earlier. This is something, by the way, that's my cursor right there. I can move it around. Oh, if you're doing this without any instructions, like you can't download the instructions or something, or if you can't follow the instructions, well, you can just type it in as you see. I'm doing a lot of copy and pasting because I would rather not make the mistake of copying, of typing in something wrong. Click OK. The maximum speed. I don't remember this. Wait a second. I might have done something wrong here. Angle, set, angle. Okay. Enter the maximum. Don't remember this. I think it was just 0. I'm pretty sure it's just 0. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just 0. All right, next up, we're going to want to set the position of the crosshair. So that way, wherever our mouse is, the crosshair goes to the mouse. This one's pretty simple, actually, to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click position. We're going to set its x-coordinate and set its y-coordinate. Can you guess? Can you guess? X mouse. X position of the mouse. We're going to do the same thing. Set position, and that will be Y mouse. Once again, I am a copy paster because I am part lazy, but part making sure that everything is done correctly. Now what we should do is press F7 and see if it works. And look at that. I don't see my crosshair anywhere, and that's okay. We will figure out what is going on with that crosshair very soon, right? Crosshair should be working. Let's look back at our event editor. Set X position to X mouse, set Y position to Y. Be good to go. Make sure that I didn't skip a step with my crosshair. Visible at start. Create at start, follow the frame. Yes, everything does look fine. I always like to check this right here. If you click on this, it actually will help you see all of, well, everything you've got basically. We'll worry about that later. All right. There's just something a little funky going on that maybe I forgot to do. Position set A mouse, set X position 2, set Y position 2, X mouse and Y mouse. That is strange. That is a valid expression. Interesting. Oh, I wonder if we'll figure it out in a bit. In my other one, it definitely works, right? And now in this one, it doesn't. So we'll get there. What I want to do next is actually get the bullet firing. So let's worry about the bullet fire. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to add more events for the bullet, of course. So we're going to add the following code. When the user clicks with the left button, right? So what we're going to do is add a new condition. There's this thing right here. Click on it, the mouse, when the user clicks. And that would be with the left button. Cool, we have that now. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a bullet from the actual body itself. So this right here is our create new object. Right, so we're going to right click that, create object, and then this will pop up. And then that will be bullet, okay, relative to this at 0, 0. Excellent. Next up, we have to set the X and Y positions to the bullet next. And we're going to have to give it the initial speeds. We're going to have to give it X speed. So everything that we're going to do now is going to be on this bullet. So we're going to do quite a bit now, okay? We're going to right-click this bullet. And we're going to set its temporary Y and temporary X positions to the bullet. So we're going to set alternate variables. And we're going to do set temporary X. X of the bullet. Just like what you see there. I'll let it pause there for a second. Cool. We're going to right click. Alternate variables set. We're going to do temporary Y now. We're going to do that to the Y position of the bullet, which is creating variables. Next up, what we're going to do is set the initial speed. This equation. So what it's going to do is it's going to calculate the distance to the mouse and divide by 17 and give us a maximum of 15. You could actually change these so that way it changes the initial speed. So and for this equation, the further away that the mouse gets, the slower it is. Right, so you could do 17 divided by if you wanted to change it. Work with this equation right here if you want to change if my mouse is closer or further away from my tank in order to change its speed. So for what we have here, the further away the mouse is, the slower it is. Next up, we're going to set its X speed. Right click, I'm sorry, right click, set its X speed to this equation, another trigonometric equation, and it references P1 body and it references the bullet. Click OK. Now you guys can pause the video, by the way, and type this out, or you can just go to the instructions, copy and paste. I don't care. I'll give you these equations. These come from trigonometry, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about it. That is the equation for the next one. That is not temporary X. That is actually Y speed. Like, okay, let's overlook this, and this is kind of where we're at, honestly. These should be all the conditions that you have. Now, guys, if any of your conditions are out of order, they should be in this exact order right here, by the way. If you have this down here, it's going to change what happens. I'll show you guys later. Real quick, though, we're going to add another condition before we stop. We're going to go back to our event editor. We're going to make another always. We're going to do click always. So this is always going to be true. And what we're going to want to do is that the bullet right here, going to give it a position. We're going to set its X coordinate. To temporary X of the bullet. We're going to set its Y coordinate. Is this right here, temp Y of the bullet. So this is what I got so far. But we're also going to add variables. Oh, we're going to set the, I'm sorry. This is wrong. We're going to add X speed. Oh, I am missing a little bit of, yeah, I had this right. Add 2. We're going to add X speed. Once again, what did I do? I right clicked, alternate variables, add 2. I chose the X speed. The X of the bullet. Right click, alternate variables, add 2. Temp Y of the bullet. Click OK. Once again, you guys, what you should do is just slow down the video. You can pause. And this is where I'm at, but I don't like this. I want to add the variables first, then set the position. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our little event list editor up here. And I don't like these down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to move them up top. Yep, there you go. Click and move. Click and move. And it should look like this. Like, this should be the final product of what your code looks like in the end. And I'm not entirely sure why my crosshair is not following my mouse at the moment. I have a feeling it's because it's not being created. But don't worry about it just yet, right? So click this, click F7, my tank, and it's not shooting. Oh, it is shooting. Shooting right here. Interesting. Where is my error? So this right here is when I did this, my final line editor. What I want to do is I want to compare these two. And this is kind of like how I debug things. That distance to mouse, the 360 minus A2. I'm just going to go through this. See maybe if I have an error in here somewhere. Something I did wrong, set position of that. Create the from here. Y. These two are flip-flopped. As you see, temp Y to Y. But what I can do is move it up. I don't think that's going to change really anything. That's okay. And speed to minimum distance mouse divided by 17 greater than 15. Set X speed to cosine. Set Y speed to sine. What's a mouse? Then always add temp. Ah, this is it right here. This is my error. Add temp X. I got these two mixed up. So add temp X to X speed. I should add. There we go. Okay, so this is what's wrong right here. It should be add. Keep this up. It should be add this to that. Okay. So at least we found our error. Let's go back to the editor. We're going to add this. Choose this value. So right now we have X speed. We don't want that. We want temp X. We want this here. That's what it should be. Temp X. Add this to that. There we go. Wait. Make sure that's right. Yes, that's correct. Edit that. Get rid of that. Be temp Y. Y speed. That's what it should look like right there. So once again, that's what this one looks like. Choose value, temp Y. This is what we're going to add to it. Okay. Now let's go to our event editor. F7, this bad boy. Hey. There we go. Nah, I still don't know why. There's no crosshair. But we got the tank shooting. That's kind of the most important part. I'm going to take a few minutes to kind of look at my code here, but that's really the end of it. That's what it should look like, ladies and gentlemen. Always. Yeah, that should be X mouse. That is a valid expression. We're going to delete that last value because we don't need it. Yeah, I'm just not entirely sure why this one is not working. Go into my other code here. My instructions just to make sure. Right. Everything looks good. Getting the bullets to shoot. See, everything just fine. Exactly what I got. All right. You too. Let's try something. Set. I'm gonna end it here, and then I'll just go ahead and say I'm gonna figure this out and add like a little extra video, crosshair fix. You know, I'm just trying to figure it out with you guys. I had it working on my other one, but maybe I did something differently. Thank you for joining me on this one. We got it shooting, and then stay tuned for part 2.